Well, it's been a long time since I posted about this project, so I thought I'd bring everybody up to date. This is the Calliope cylinder head. Now, we cast this from original Ford tooling probably 2 years ago now, and it's been sitting in my place waiting for me to get this new CNC machine up and running and to get clear of some of the other projects I've got so that I can actually start working on this. After getting this, we were able to actually acquire the Ford blueprints for this casting, which is a huge help. And so with those, I was able to design this fixture. So all the aluminum plates and so forth that you see on here are fixtures designed just to hold this casting. And this is the first operation that I've set it up on. Now, one of the things to understand about this is that with a normal aftermarket cylinder head these days, there are tabs that come off the end of each cylinder head. You can grab those on the fourth axis of a CNC machine, like this fourth axis here, and you can rotate the thing around. The tabs give you datum points, and they also allow you to get at all the angles for the valves and the valve cover rail and the deck and everything else. Of course, this casting doesn't have that. So you don't have any way of holding it by the end. So the first thing that I had to do with this is design a fixture so that I can machine the ends of the casting and machine them so that I can bolt on some other pieces of fixture that allow me to do what I would with a normal casting, which is to spin it along the long axis and get all the machining done that way. So I'm going to flip this thing around here, try to show you a couple of kind of interesting deals. Let's see, we'll go all the way around to the other side. You'll notice it's sitting on a flat plate. I'll get to that in a few minutes here. Here it is upside down. What we found on this casting, which is really cool and which I assume the way that Ford machined it, is there are some markings on the casting itself, and I've confirmed that they are actually in the molds for the ends of the cylinder heads. So like this line right here is a datum line, and this line right here is a datum line. So I can, put a pointer right about in the middle there and zero that pretty closely within 5 thousandths or so, and then I know exactly where I am on this casting with respect to the prints. And so what I've done is I've machined this water opening here, and I've counterbored it a little bit, and I've done the same thing here. Now this used to be what Ford used this for is to put a hole straight through the casting from one end to the other, and then they'd use that to bore the rocker the rocker stands, basically, the bottom half of the rocker stand. Let's see if we can look at that. Well, here you can see the bottom half of the rocker stands for one set of the rockers, and then having trouble holding the camera here while I'm moving the CNC machine around. But yeah, they bored that hole right through here so that then they could put a half round hole into all these guys for the rocker shaft to saddle into. So anyway, what I did was rather than going all the way through, I went in just a little ways here. I'm going to move that again so that we can see a little better. Went in just a little ways here and put a bolt hole in the middle, and you use these bolt holes and this counter bore in here, and I'll have a fixture that bolts into it right there on the end and has those feet on the end of it so that I can put it into the rest of this fixture when I get the ends done. So that's the first step on this thing. Now, in order to hold this thing in place, I've had to use jacking screws in order to get it nice and straight. You can kind of see those on the end there, and these guys over here, and then there's also some stops over here, and basically it takes about 2 hours to set this thing up on the machine and confirm that all the information or all the data points are correct on it. But with the flexibility I have here, I was able to do that. It just took a while. The end of this thing, right now it looks pretty clean, but it did used to have a whole bunch of flashing on it like you have there, so I either machined or cut that off one way or the other. And that water jacket opening, it's interesting, this engine, it has a dry deck, and so that water opening there in the end attaches via a little U-turn casting to the engine block on both sides, and then the front of it is basically a thermostat housing on each side, and they go out to the radiator. So it's a very interesting design. The next thing I have to do on this is I have to drill an oil hole, and I think actually I went and buy it already, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's on the other side. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. So right here is where the cylinder head oils, in that boss right there. But it doesn't go straight in. It goes in at a 6-degree angle. So in order to make that work, I did this plate here that the whole thing sits on. This plate right here. And so I have it fixtured so that I can take the bolts out of it that are holding it in place now, rotate it 6 degrees, and put the bolts back in it, and then I'll be able to drill straight down into that oil hole. Of course, if I had a 5-axis machine, I could do that without changing anything, but I don't. This is only a 4-axis machine, so there it is. Anyway, that's the next step, is to have a couple of things to finish up with the head vertically like this. I will drill that oil hole, and then I'll be able to bolt those other fixture pieces on the end, put it longitudinally this way on the fixture instead of vertically like it is now, and then I'll be able to do all the machining on the cylinder head face and the intake manifold face and so forth, because there won't be any of these other clamps in the way. That whole plate is going to be gone, and everything will be open from the side, so that I'll be able to machine everything. So that's the latest update. It's taken a while, but hopefully it'll start moving a little bit faster now. I guess we'll see. So I'll post another video when I have more information on this.